honest with you guys, man. I was on the phone last night and I had this clairvoyant moment come through where my life started to make, where what I went through in my past started to make sense. And it's the way I think about it. Like, for my past, why would I want to constantly go back to a moment where I wasn't at my healthiest and obsess over it? That's what I feel like when it comes to people's former lives or people you used to be with that made your life suck or made your life terrible. Why would you want to constantly obsess over that? If a person made your life absolutely terrible, I would want to get as far away from that person or those unhealthy things as I could. That's why I changed my life and went on this spiritual journey, because I don't want to be reminded of that worst period in my life when I was at my worst. And I feel like spirituality helped me get healthy. It helped me get away from it. It helped me completely change my life. And I don't want anything that ever reminds me of that period of life, that period of my life, because that was the worst period in my life. I don't want anything from it. I don't want anything that reminds me even remotely closely of living that type of lifestyle or living that type of way, because it was extremely unhealthy. And if you constantly obsess over it or constantly think about it, it's like surviving an accident, but then you're constantly driving back past the same spot, obsessing over it. And if you're going to do that, it's undoing the work you've done as a spiritualist. Why would you want to go back to the place where you was at your weakest, you was at your hurtest, you was at your most vulnerable? Why would you want to constantly beat yourself up over that same situation? It's undoing all the work you've done. If you truly moved on, if you're truly adjusted, if you're truly over it, then you won't even bring it up. And that's the difference of what I had to learn when I was younger versus now. When I was younger, I used to obsess over that one bad period in my life a lot. And one thing I'm coming to understand is if you're truly over it, if you're truly done with it, you're not going to bring it up, because you're not going to feel that pain. You're not going to be around that negativity. You're not going to want to do anything to remind you of that worst period in your life. And if you're truly done, you're going to be done with those people, those type of situations, or anything like that, because you're not going to want to betray the healing that you've done spiritually. And I know I don't. So I don't hang out, bring up, or think about anything that brings me any negative energy from my past. I completely cut it off. I completely changed my life. And I completely live and act a completely different way. And I'm not going to go backwards by thinking or giving anything in my past any more energy over me. And that's what you have to do to let that type of stuff in your life go for good. Or that's the way I feel like you have to do to let things like that go in your life for good. You have to cut it off, quit thinking about it, quit hanging out with anybody or anything from that era of your life, because if you don't, it's going to try to put you back in that same energy. But you can't let yourself go back in that same energy, because me, myself, I've done too much spiritual work, brought too much happiness into my life, and things are going too positively for me to ever look back or hold myself back to that old version of myself or that old version of myself's energy, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion from my personal spiritual experience and why I let go of my past. Because it's more damaging to me than helpful, and it destroys more of my life than it does help. So you just have to find a peaceful way to let it go, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion from my personal spiritual experience. And I thought I would share it with you guys, because it's a realization that I just came to earlier, like last night. Like, you have to let that part of your life go. Why would you want to be reminded of the most hurtful time in your life constantly? Why would you want to obsess over that? You've worked hard to get away from it. Why would you want to constantly drag yourself through that and beat yourself up? You have to let that period of your life go to be healthy. Whatever you have to express to that situation, express it, get it out your system, and let it go so you can continue your spiritual evolution and continue your spiritual healing process. The longer you hold on to things like that, the longer it damages your life and the longer it damages what you're trying to do to build your future. You have to let that go to be able to move on and build the life you need to build, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion, though.